Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everyone.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer insights and ideas for how emerging small and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can establish and grow their business.
Bruce and I have been working in CPG commercial operations for over 30 years, working on brands of all sizes. By commercial operations, we mean all aspects involved in establishing and growing brands across channels and platforms. On our show, we bring on guests that are brand founders, leaders, investors, as well as all kinds of suppliers to these emerging brands that are subject matter experts to share their unique insights with the audience.
To keep up with the show, please follow the Road to Retail podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leave us a review and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. You can also check out our website at www.road2retail.com and follow The Road to Retail on LinkedIn. Let's get to today's episode. Since 1994, the Emerson Group has been the trusted partner to brands, retailers, suppliers, and the CPG industry. Their people are CPG professionals and omnichannel commerce experts. They have built a fully integrated infrastructure with a suite of services and capabilities focused on launching and accelerating the growth of health, wellness, and beauty brands. Powered by their proprietary Omega AI data technology platform, which utilizes a brand's insights and data analytics to create a brand's go-to-market strategy, optimize their omnichannel distribution, build marketing plans, and optimize supply chain. The Emerson Group infrastructure and capabilities serve brands in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. To learn more, visit their website at www.emersongroup.com. Looking to scale or launch your supplement or skincare brand? Eagle Labs Incorporated, based in Florida, offers full-service NSF-certified contract manufacturing of capsules, tablets, powders, liquids, gummies, and lotions. All of their manufacturing takes place in the USA. From R&D and formulation to packaging and fulfillment, Eagle Labs provides scalable, high-quality production that meets FDA and NSF standards. To learn more, contact Michael Law, Chief Commercial Officer at Eagle Labs at michael.law@eaglelabsinc.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of The Road to Retail. Tracy Priest, my friend, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Bruce. It's great to see you. Welcome back from your trip from last week, and excited to be here for another episode of Road to Retail. So, Bruce, you were traveling last week in beautiful South Florida. Tell us about where you were and what we're going to talk about today. We've got an exciting episode.
Yeah, we're just going to provide a little recap of the NACDS annual meeting, which took place at the Breakers, April 18 through 21. My wife and I, we dabble in looking at real estate in South Florida, and we took a look at the Breakers. It's a little small for us, and the staff of about 2,000 is a bit robust. But NACDS stands for the National Association of Chain Drugstores. Kind of rolls right off the tip of your tongue, but it's an industry trade association that basically brings together the retailers and all the suppliers, largely in health, beauty, personal care, but the big food guys are there as well, as are most of the large retailers. So it's a good chance for senior folks to get together and have strategic conversations that then feed into the other NACDS meeting called TSE, Total Store Expo, which takes place in August, which is much more transactional, where the actual buying teams are there interacting with the brands, looking at the new items, starting to get things set up for line review, etc. The other parts of the meeting, it's really well done. I mean, the Breakers is way above what I could ever justify spending for a night, but it's a really elegant facility. So in terms of, is it a nice place to spend some time? Yeah, but you're usually pretty busy, so it's not like you're gazing romantically over the ocean all day. They also bring in some policy people to talk about what's going on. They brought in a woman named Doris Kearns Goodwin, who is an award-winning presidential historian. Her discussion was really interesting, and they always bookend the meeting on an opening night and closing night with entertainment. And this year, the opening act was Andy Grammer, and the closing act was the Doobie Brothers. I missed the Doobies because I had to get home after a long time on the road. I did see the Doobies in 10th grade, so I don't feel completely left out. And I heard they still rock, which is really fun. Tracy, that's about it in terms of summary. What else is on your mind that you'd like to know
Yeah,
about?
yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the trends that you heard about from the retailers while you were there.
Yeah, great. Well, we're not going to get into specifics because they asked us not to, but I can tell you this, the meeting kicks off on Saturday with Meet the Industry, and there's a series of about 20-minute presentations, and it was moderated this year by a friend of the show, Elizabeth Carvonen of the Emerson Group. And the speakers was kind of like the who's who, man. It was Amazon, Target, Walmart, Walgreens, Instacart, and LR distributors. And each of them went through some strategic things. You know, the Walgreens presentation with the new ownership into private equity and some new senior people, they were pretty humble in terms of talking about things that they admit they weren't doing great and that they're taking aggressive steps to rectify, to make them a retail partner of choice. Amazon and Walmart, as you can imagine, they are continuing to cook, and they had some very interesting things that they talked about. In terms of the high level discussion points that all of the retailers pretty much spoke about, none of it's new news, but the pressure at the shelf just continues to increase. So, to all the entrepreneurs out there in our small emerging challenger brand world, or young brand managers like I was once upon a time, tons and tons of SKUs is not going to get you anywhere. Okay. It's about fewer power SKUs that help the buyers drive category performance. As Tracy and I talk about all the time, the buyers are much more interested in the performance of their category than your specific brand. Do they want you to win? Absolutely. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone through the pain and suffering of cutting you in. But then you have to perform. Lots of talk around innovation. And there were some brands there doing some cool things. Some are the emerging brands that you'd consider, and some are the brands that have been around for decades that are doing some cool things. Now, on the one hand, the big brands have a lot of dough, so you should expect them to be doing some interesting things. But also, bigger companies tend to be more conservative. So, taking a big step out of your comfort zone, I mean, that takes some courage. The other thing that was very, very consistent was one, a focus on serving the ultimate end consumer, right? That's in the best interest of the retailers and the brands. If you're not focused on that, eventually you're going to lose. And then lastly was the importance of data. Friend of the show, Big Chalk Analytics, just launched an emerging brand launch and growth toolkit. And I can tell you from Tracy, you know this because we were there when we were at Founders Day in December, when you were at Expo West, when we were at the CHIPA meeting, and now here. Data is critical. So while the buyers love a great founder story and you started this because such and such happened to someone in your family or grandma's recipe, all that's great. And that helps you maybe get that first meeting. But once you're in, you have to have data to manage your business. They don't want you to go, no, people with $5, that's my target consumer. No, they want to know who's your target consumer. Is your pricing right? Is your demand plan effective? Is it going to drive turns at the shelf? We already talked about pricing. Packaging. Can a busy shopper find your package once you're in brick and mortar retail? It's one thing to be elegant and pinstriped and very fine when you're at the farmer's market and each one of your boxes is on a velvet pillow and you have 5 minutes to explain it to somebody. And it's also okay when it's on your own website and someone comes to your page and they're interested in it because they're raising their hand. Something here interests me. But when you're pressed in that Kroger, Publix, Meijer, Hy-Vee, Target, Walmart, fill in the blank, will you pop? As A.G. Lafley from the old CEO of P&G used to say, can you win the last 3 feet when the person's cruising down the shelf? So those were kind of the high level discussion points, Tracy, that all of the retailers wanted us brand people to keep in mind.
Awesome. So talk to us a little bit about what was the buzz going on in the hallways? What was the scuttlebutt? I know you can't say too many details, but give us a high level of what you heard.
Well, first off, it's always great. I mean, I've been in OTC, HBA, personal care for most of my career. So it's always fun to get down there and reconnect with retail partners, other suppliers, even your competitors. I mean, people from other industries that come over to this one, they can't believe how collegial we are. When it comes time to compete, we want to beat the stuffing out of each other, but it doesn't mean that, people are going to get drunk at the bar and start fighting, which I did see once at the National Coffee Association meeting. I did not know that MMA in the lobby bar was on the agenda that year. It was, and people weren't shocked. So maybe it wasn't the first time. So it's good to get the feel, and people are optimistic. Yeah, there's tariff stuff out there, but as we saw 2 chippas ago, Tracy, Ron Lombardi, CEO of Prestige, I think put it best. He said, it's another cost for us to manage, right? It's
Exactly.
another cost for us to manage. And if you're in a commodity driven business, going back to coffee, the price of green coffee moves all over and you're expected to manage it, not go cry about it. So, are they annoying? Probably. Are they permanent? Probably not. Are they going to be here a while? You bet. So let's all figure it out. The other thing that was really interesting was that there's been kind of a dry spell of M&A in the industry that of the attendees here at NACDS. And we've had some of the key people on the show, whether it's Teddy Townsend, Rusty Ray, Minor Hinson, we could go on. They've been on there. Nick McCoy, those guys all transact these businesses. But Susan Roddy kind of broke the ice when the Wonderbelly deal occurred and P&G bought that brand. Wonderbelly, friend of the show. Andy Whitman, lead investor, Loft Partners, friend of the show. And then Prestige just bought a bunch of assets from Foundation Consumer Health. So things are starting to move. And perhaps an elephant in the room out there is Kimberly-Clark buying of Kenvue. It's my understanding it just passed some of the key antitrust hurdles. So the Kenvue KC merger is probably going to shake out, I'm sorry, some of the smaller brands from the Kenvue portfolio. The initial press conference where the KC CEO was talking about Kenvue, they were pretty resolute that they want the 10, 11 big brands. They didn't spend a lot of time talking about the smaller ones. So I think that could drive some activity. And then there's a whole bunch of other rumors, but while they're fun, we're not going to transit in rumors. So that was really the buzz in the hallways. And then, of course, the meeting's main purpose is for all the suppliers and retailers to meet, kind of have a high level discussion with the grand poobahs of these merchant departments and kind of talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So they go back, share with their buying teams what they're hearing, seeing, interested in, or what they should watch out for, so that when TSE rolls around, the meetings are much more transactional and productive.
Awesome, awesome. So it sounds like there's some leadership changes that's going to be happening here later this year. So why don't you talk to our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, really interesting. A fellow named Steve Anderson has been in charge and steering NACDS for the past 20 years. Man, I can't believe it's that long, but he's done a great job representing the association on Capitol Hill. And NACDS really stood tall during COVID. I mean, I think everyone involved with the industry was proud, how all of the retailers with their pharmacies, et cetera, really stepped up, whether it was giving shots once the vaccines were available, to working really hard to supply COVID test kits when all of us were going through that, to just kind of sending the signal out there that, hey, we're here, we're going to be open, we're going to be careful, but we're going to take care of you. I mean, that was a real time to shine. So after 20 years, that's a good run, man. When you think about it in like sports terms, very few coaches will hold their jobs that long. So
Sure.
Steve has earned the right to retire, and I think it's going to be really important to hire the right person. Personally, I do not have a vote, just for the record. I think there's a lot of great people within the industry. People that are on the retailer side, possibly they'd even think of someone from the supplier side. But I think it's important to understand how the suppliers and retailers interact to best serve the consumers. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure to put someone in the seat that really knows their way around Capitol Hill. I don't pretend to think that's unimportant. However, I think with the right hire on your staff of a government relations person, a regulatory lawyer, let's say, I think you can cover that. I think you need someone who's really going to keep the association strong, robust, and drive membership and attendance at these events. The last thing you want is people showing up and paying a lot of money to be part of an association and saying, where is everybody? And then just outgoing, Rick Gates of Walgreens completed his term as chairman of the board, and he passed the gavel to David Warner, who's the CEO of KPH Health Services. So Mike Wysong, who was just on the show a couple of episodes ago, Mike was also a past chair. So whether it's Mike, I think there's a lot of talent in the NACDS ecosystem, and I hope that whoever the search committee is really taking a hard look at internal candidates who already know the association and have a really good feel for the good, the bad, and the ugly of where we stand right now. Bringing in a new person could be great, but I don't think anyone wants to hear how they're going to go on a listening tour for 2 years. I mean, get there, start digging holes, man. Let's go, get to work. So that's my 2 cents there. But kudos to Steve Anderson. 20 years is a hell of a run at almost any job. So well done by him.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, what a great recap, Bruce, and we really appreciate it. So, always on our episodes, we always ask our favorite question. So, I'm going to ask you our favorite question, which is, what is your favorite sports team, band, or brand, and why you follow them? So, this is going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I had already said I wouldn't name a brand because you and I work on so many of them. But I do think I'll probably go back and just say Alka-Seltzer. It was the first one I worked on as a marketing assistant coming out of B school. And I do admit, all these years later, every store I go into, I go work the shelf for every brand I've ever worked on. My wife thinks I'm a lunatic, and she's probably right. But
It,
old habits die hard. So
it's in your
I'd, I'd
blood.
I'd
It's
have
in
to
your
go with
blood.
Alka-Seltzer. In terms of band, man, I'm a classic rock guy. On Sirius, I'm channel 25 and 26. Love the Stones, love the Grateful Dead, love Pink Floyd. Man, I wish I could play guitar like David Gilmour. The old Southern rock bands are great. A lot of the new country guys are great, and the gals. I mean, there's just a lot of talent out there. And hell, I'm so jealous of any of these people that can just get out there and rock, especially in front of a huge crowd. Even if I was good, I'd be terrified. And then lastly, I got to go with two teams. I got to go with the Fighting Irish,
Of
even though they
course.
cause me much heartache. It is lacrosse season and we are playing well. So the fact that I mentioned that, we will now lose our last two games. But the Fighting Irish, the football team, looking good. Got totally screwed last year, as you know, from getting screwed at Florida State a couple of years before.
No,
So we
well,
will go on the revenge tour this fall, I hope. And then sadly, I am a New York Knicks fan, and I've been waiting since 1973 for us to win a championship. So I have my Walt Frazier Snuggie, and I sit and watch the Knicks, and I just pray. So that would be it, Trace.
I love it. I love it.
I'm not that bright, but I can't abandon the Knicks. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's a love hate relationship. I love it. Well,
Bring,
awesome. Well, Bruce, this has been a great episode. Anything
go
else you
with the
want to
big
add?
finish, Tracy.
The big finish. So thank you, audience, for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this brief recap of NACDS. Please continue to follow us on Apple, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube channel, and also you can check us out on our website at www.road2retail.com. And we post every Tuesday on LinkedIn and all the other channels. So thanks again, Bruce. We really enjoyed it today. And thank you, audience, for joining us.
Good luck out there, folks.